Today I want to talk to you about this idea that I actually posted a week or so ago, and I've been meaning to do a live on, just around how do we stop breaking our diet? Why do we seem to constantly be breaking a diet, starting something, stopping something? I know that I used to be in this sort of space where I was quite restrictive, or taking strong momentum towards a diet, or being controlling, or no sugar, or keto. Back then it wouldn't have been called that, but it was some type of high protein, low carb thing that I used to do, whatever it was. And it didn't matter what it was. I could sometimes last a day on it. I could sometimes last a week on it. I could sometimes last a month or a few months, but it didn't matter what it was. I always broke it at some point in time. And that is the whole point of a diet, and the whole thing of when we have a diet, because a lot of them aren't sustainable. They're not the way that we can function day in and day out. We start on them, and then at some point we get really over it. We don't feel like it's giving us what we want, or we feel really restricted and not free. So then often we might go the other way, and we might sort of binge eat or overeat or overindulge on the sugar that we've not been wanting and having. And we sort of go and overdo it. And so we're going in these two different extremes. And I used to find it really challenging, because whenever I didn't have some structure and diet type thing in my mentality, I sort of would go get loose and just sort of eat whatever, whenever, and it would all be undone, all the work I'd done elsewhere. And so it was really challenging, of like, I have quite a lot of fear about, well, if I don't have a diet, then I'm just going to go to the other extreme. I don't want to do that either. And so we just feel like we're sort of being swung between the two. And I want to give you a solution today that really helps answer this. And this came from my research and my understanding with the work of Janine Roth in mindful eating. And look, there's a lot of mindful eating info out there. But I want to tell you, generally mindful eating is really about not necessarily, it's sort of more the middle balanced route. It's having guidelines and ideas around how we can connect in our body and eat. But it's about returning back to when we were a child, trusting our body and our instincts, and really learning how to communicate and connect with our body more so. And so using that as our guide instead of someone else dictating what we should and shouldn't eat outside of that. So this is the info I'm going to tell you. Now, often, there's a lot to mindful eating. I really just want to give you one really key, or three key things about it. Now, it's certain on the premise of we eat when we're hungry to when we're satisfied and comfortable, not to overfull, and not when we're starving, because that can create problems. Now, we can generally have, in this sort of mode of when we want to eat, we can generally have three key cravings that Janine Roth talks about, and I've done some more research and work on in other people around as well. And the first craving that we tend to have is a legitimate body craving for food and hunger. It's when we actually are hungry, our body is physically hungry, and it's desiring and craving and wanting and urging us to eat something healthy, nutritious, something that's nourishing to our body. Often, things that are quite unprocessed, often things like, all the stuff that, all the fruit and veg and less processed carbs and, just the more natural nature's sort of beautiful creation that it's given us. That's often what the body will crave and desire. And so whenever, we tune in and it's sort of in line with that, and often we have nutritional guidelines also that can tell us more about it. But generally we know, okay, that's a body craving. That might be that my body needs it. And I know in pregnancy, there was some really bizarre cravings that I got, and I heard friends had. I know a friend that desired a dirt. I know a friend that was actually walking past lawn and an oval and really wanted to go and eat the dirt. And so I don't know what that was about. I don't know what thing in her body was craving that, but I've heard of people craving charcoal because they needed the zinc, or craving bizarre things, but there was actually a body related issue. I had a time where I needed chips and things, but I needed more salt. So sometimes that can be a body-related thing. But some of those cravings can be a part of our second thing I'm going to talk to you about, which is our mouth craving. And our mouth craves things that just, are going to be tasty, taste good, satisfy all of our taste buds in there. And even, that's why the French cuisine, Italians, they cook so many flavors. There's so many cuisines, cook such flavors, and it's really to satisfy the palate of the mouth. Now, often with a mouth craving, we don't have to have too much trouble with it, because sometimes that's actually something that can go away with a really small amount of food. So, if you had a desire for chocolate, the mouth craving, that could be actually you just need one tiny little bit of chocolate and then you're fine, and that's not, you don't need it anymore. So a mouth craving tends to be something that's just sort of a little bit of salt, and there's other ways that you can create that mouth craving. So I know if I crave something sweet for the mouth, you know, I can actually create different types of protein shakes and other things as well, where that will satisfy that part. It doesn't have to be a chocolate thing as such. And a lot of the time, I know when I did cut back on my chocolate intake, because it was, again, I'm going to talk to you the next craving, which it was actually, you know, part of my mind and emotional craving that I was going to chocolate for. After I did that, I actually started desiring more savory things. I didn't like sweet stuff as much. And so my mouth cravings changed. And often within 2 weeks or so, our mouth cravings can change based on changes we make in our eating. So that's the mouth craving. And now I've alluded to the third one, which is our mind and emotion cravings. Now, this one is often something that onsets really quickly, really instantly. It's something that's often insatiable, and we like just want to hone down. I know I was talking to someone the other day, and they've just honed down like block of chocolate after block of chocolate, and eaten like, you know, kilo of chocolate with their Easter egg just instantly within, you know, a couple of days. And so that's sort of, for them, they're going through a real challenging time in their life. And so that's attached to a mind emotional hunger. And so this is the point where actually, you know, it doesn't matter what we eat and how much we consume, it just doesn't fulfill, it doesn't satisfy what we are having. And so with this one, for me, I actually don't eat something when it's a feeling like, hey, Heidi, good to see you. Hope you're well, doll. I actually don't eat anything that's a mind emotional craving. And I know for me, there's actually certain foods that used to be my mind emotional cravings. So I used to, you know, crave M&Ms or crave certain chocolates in my house. And I knew it was always, you know, pretty much most of the time, it would be when I'm alone, and it was just an instant thing I desired. And it would often be at night once I put Harry to bed. And so I knew I actually wasn't going to even, I wasn't even going to go down that track and go there. And I actually removed those things from my house, because I knew for me, when I went down a mind emotional craving, it just made the issue worse, because I wasn't dealing with the problem that was setting off the craving. I was just putting food in there, numbing it, and putting another problem on top of it. And I say to clients all the time, you know, if we're driving a car and you're running out of petrol and you're running on empty and you need to fill up and you need to fill that petrol tank up, you do not, you know, if I started putting bananas in there, you'd think I'm crazy, because that's not the right petrol type of fuel for that car. It needs fuel. And so I say all the time, when we have a mind emotional craving, it's never going to be solved with food. Food is never, ever going to solve it. Now, look, again, a mouth craving or a body one, yes, food solves that. But mind emotions, it does not solve it. You'll keep eating the whole chocolate or whatever, the whole bag of lollies or cheese or whatever your mind emotional craving often is, and the comfort food that you go to a lot of the time. Often we have the standard comfort food. So try and think of what is your comfort foods you often go to for this. But yeah, whenever we crave those things, it doesn't matter how much you have of it, it won't help. It won't solve anything. It actually just makes a double problem. It creates more issues on top of it. It opens up shame. It opens up feelings of, you know, not feeling good enough, because why have I just not looked after myself? And I say to clients all the time too, you know, with people that you love and care about, when they're going through something hard, would you just stuff them with a whole chocolate block? You know, with Harry, if he comes to me and he's crying because he's hurt himself or whatever, I don't just go, oh, here, honey, here's all this chocolate, go for it. You know, that's going to solve all your problems. But for some reason with us, we treat ourselves like that. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, you cut out all types of chocolates, you don't have any of that. I'm not saying that at all, because I enjoy it and I have it with friends and that sort of thing. But I know when it's a mind emotional thing, I just don't go to it. I actually have to go and sit with myself and have a dialogue with myself, or journal. Or if I can't even do that and I'm feeling quite hard, which often isn't normal for me, but if you're at the start of your journey, I would even just call a friend at that point, or go speak to your husband or something. That is going to solve it way more than running to a mind emotional one. So anyway, ladies, hope you enjoyed this. It was just a little brief thing for you. Please comment any questions you have or anything that you liked about that or you want to take away and practice. There's a lot more to this, so I can reach out and let you know more about it. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. And I'm going to put on a new topic for this next week for us to look at. I'm going to try and do some more videos and things because I find that's an easy way to communicate with you. And again, just please question away and relate as we need. If you want to know anything else, reach out to me, PM me. Lots of free resources to give you too for some help also. So anyway, hope you're well, beautiful girls, and had a lovely Mother's Day and have a beautiful week. Mwah. See you later.